Lisa Montgomery here on behalf of Residential Systems, and I'm speaking with Patrick Gall, also known as PG, about Orro and what sort of products and technologies the company brings to the residential channel. PG, can you give us a brief explanation of the types of solutions Orro offers?
Yeah, absolutely. So we call Orro the smart living system. And I think the term smart home is a little bit overplayed for a lot of people these days, doesn't have a lot of value. So we're intentional with smart living, with really trying to design products, solutions, software that really enhances your day-to-day life at home. And essentially what Orro is, it's kind of twofold. It's a lighting system that also doubles as a very simple control system that connects and unifies all these other smart home devices that we have across the house. So essentially what we physically make are light switches. The light switches are a little bit different than really anyone else. And the big thing is we build a number of sensors into our switches. So every switch we make has motion, proximity, ambient light and sound sensors, and a speaker. And all of those sensors and software come together to basically always understand where are people in their homes. Are they there? Are they not? Have they entered the room, etc. And then what that allows us to do is basically put the lights on autopilot for you. So what you could imagine is if you had a home full of Orro, you could walk across your home, live an entire day and night, and never physically touch a light switch. So you get this kind of magical experience where you're not fumbling around for light switches. And importantly, because of those sensors, you're also getting the right amount of light at that given time of day, how much sunlight's coming in, your preferences based on how artificial light and natural sunlight should come together from kind of a human-centric circadian lighting kind of topic. That's really what we center around is, what's the right amount of light I can always provide. And then that same system, our current product, which is called the Orro One Pro, has a touchscreen on the front that becomes this very compact, sleek interface to control things like your Sonos audio system, to speak to Alexa, to lock your doors, and even tie into larger control systems like Control4, RTI, and Alarm.com. So what you get is this very simple system that really covers two big categories that can do a little bit of everything in between.
So can the custom integration channel, can they come in and put in a basic lighting system and then later on expand into this larger ecosystem you talk about where you're interfacing with, I think Sonos is one that you interface with, and what are some of the other brands that you work closely with?
So first part of your question, for sure, Orro is a very modular system. So, an integrator could literally install one single switch for one room if the customer wants to kind of test it out, and then easily expand to other parts of the home or even in that room with more switches. Physically, it's just replacing a physical light switch. So it's not an overly complicated install. And then in terms of what we work with, we like to say everything that matters. So we work with all the big, more consumer brands that, the integrator doesn't always love, but have become quite popular and needed. So companies like Ring, Nest, Ecobee thermostats. I mentioned Alexa, another big one, Sonos on the audio side, big door lock brands like August, Slage, Kwikset. So we touch more or less all those major brands across all the different categories of the home. And then because we have this focus on the integrator channel, we've started to roll out integrations that are more akin to them. So we work with Control4, we work with RTI, Alarm.com, and we're building more integrations that are more kind of channel centric that really kind of play into what a lot of integrators like to install on a day-to-day basis.
There are a lot of lighting solutions out there. What makes you guys different?
Yeah, a few things. First is how we approach lighting. So from the onset of Orro, we were trying to solve this problem of how do we take artificial lighting in customers' homes and use technology to have that light support our body's daily cycles and our circadian rhythm versus interrupt it. I think a lot of people don't understand or are aware of kind of these implications of, what having your lights on at 100% right before bed or when you wake up, what that can do for your body. There's lots of science that proves, it can have real impacts on our sleep. So from the very beginning, that was our whole intent is, how do we make a lighting system that is really focused on providing that right light level at the right time of day? And the solution to that was essentially building a number of sensors into these light switches that combined with software and then manual intervention and learning from the customer's behaviors would kind of come together to create the right lighting system without the customer having to think about it. That's another big piece. There's some amazing lighting brands on the market, some of which we also work with, but a lot of those require manual intervention. You have to push a button, use your voice, pull out your phone to activate something in an app. And with us, we really focus on this kind of proactive smart home. It's 2022. We believe some technology is far along enough where we don't have to be flipping light switches 50 times a day. Our home should start to just know our behaviors and our lifestyles and do basic things like turn on lights, lock doors, change the thermostat. So I'd say that's one of the big differences is just how we approach lighting control. It's really that sensor software-based combination, and then doing so in a very proactive way that is much less, manual intervention required from the customer.
So when we're talking about the professional channel, what is Orro doing to support that channel?
Yeah, so maybe just a bit of history to help address that question. So when Orro first started shipping products several years ago, it was more of a DIY focus. Orro thought they had built a very sleek product at a pretty aggressive price point, given all it did, which Orro did. But I think partially what was overlooked is, it's a light switch. It's high voltage. It's not like a plug-in Sonos speaker or even like a Ring doorbell, something like that. The average customer shouldn't and doesn't want to touch light switches for good reason, because they can hurt themselves, the product, etc. Because of that and kind of an overwhelming interest from different types of professionals, so custom integrators, security installers, home builders, about a year and a half ago, Orro decided to kind of flip our business model to really go solely after the professional installer. And with that, we've done a few things. I came from Sonos, where I spent 10 years on really the channel side of things. And I learned a few things along the way, some of which we're trying to apply here, which is, being very supportive for the dealer, trying everything we do to not create conflict. I think a lot of these bigger consumer brands out there inherently and unintentionally create conflict for dealers because their products are sold everywhere. There's price wars, this, that, or the other. From that perspective, we've chosen to just sell through the channel and through our website. Our website is just there as a lot of the consumer education journey takes the consumer to a company's website. But one of the differences is we created a pro version of our product, which is what the channel carries, which has a 2-year warranty, which is double the warranty that would come from the product from our website, which is at the same price. So the dealer always has a bit of a competitive edge. Pricing should never be an issue because we control that price on our website. With that, on the kind of business side of things, we also believe we put together fairly compelling margins for what Orro is, whether a dealer buys through one of our awesome distributors or being a direct dealer. So we're trying to minimize channel conflict or have almost none in place, have the dealer make good margins, which is what they care about a lot. And then I think the third one, which probably a lot of brands say, is listen to the channel. When I started, we didn't work with Control4, RTI, Alarm.com, a lot of these more installer-centric brands. That was some of the initial feedback we got was, Control4 was the #1 requested integration. So, after a bit of time, we started rolling these out and we're continuing to add more. We'll have a couple more CEDIA to roll out as well. So I think it's really, listening to the installer, what they would want out of a system like this, and then implementing some of that and, showing up with that.
Sure. So you will be at CEDIA Expo, Orro will. And what's your plan there? Are you going to be introducing a new version of your product or some incentives for dealers?
We're super excited. This is actually our first CEDIA Expo. Last year was supposed to be the first, but like many, we plug at the last minute for health reasons. But yeah, we're excited to be at CEDIA for the first time, just in general, to help really with our overall brand awareness and getting Orro out there. But one of the pieces that we're excited to share further is the Orro S. This is a new product coming to Orro that we have previously announced, but we're much closer to actually launching that product at this stage. So we're excited to have that there. And essentially, the Orro S is a sensor-based lighting-focused part of Orro. So the existing system that we just talked about for the last 10 minutes or so centers around, a touchscreen that can control my Sonos, Alexa, do intercom. All of that is awesome, but if you think about a typical household, I really only need those controls, and Alexa, maybe one in every room, but I would still like that Orro lighting experience with sensors and what that unlocks on more switch locations around my house. So this new product will come in at half the retail price at $149 and really allow the Orro lighting part of what we do to get extended to either, more gangs in that specific room, more spaces where having, a $299 touchscreen Alexa-based switch would be overkill, but At half the price, something that is much better suited for hallways, secondary bedrooms, places where those sensors and what that lighting does is great, but I don't really need much more than that. So we'll have that fully on display in lots of different configurations at our booth, and also a few new integrations that we'll be showing off as well.
Great. We're getting to the end here. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Something we may have missed?
Yeah, I think for all those integrators, hopefully that are listening, part of our goal is to really create a lot of value with Orro and the dealer, and what we're really trying to do is essentially make Orro this flexible puzzle piece that can be used pretty much on every install, no matter if it's a big one, a small one, medium, no matter what other brands, control systems. Because of the uniqueness of Orro's sensors, a touchscreen in the wall, these other elements, we believe we can do quite a bit for almost any job. So the last piece I would leave dealers with is just really encourage them to take a look at Orro. We've seen a lot of interest from the channel and have great growth so far, about a year and a half in. And we're just, doing things differently on the lighting side and kind of mixing that with control. So I think it's worth everyone's time to take a quick look.
What's the best way for integrators to get in touch with Orro?
Yeah, if for anyone coming to the CD Expo, please stop by our booth. We will be in the launch pad area of the trade show. But in general, www.getorro.com or any one of our awesome distributors across the US, depending on where you're located.
Great. Good information.
You got it. Thank you, Lisa.